This is the AMS Podcast discussing all things films, past, present, and future. Thank you for listening or watching to the podcast. Sit down, relax, and enjoy. Be with you in just a moment. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the AMS Podcast. I am your host, Adrian Michael Soto. This is the podcast discussing all things films, past, present, and future. Welcome to episode number 7. This is the second time you're seeing this face right here. As I said, I'm testing out, experimenting on how to do things here, and this may be the future, may not be. I may return back to audio format. We'll see how things go. Like I said, thank you all so much for listening to the past previous episodes on the channel. As I share with you here, this is the YouTube channel. Like, comment, subscribe. I have a variety of different things. I've done documentaries, mini project, short film that I'm proud of, and I decided to create a behind the scenes of each of these projects. There's only 3 of them thus far. They're there once you log on to, as it says on the top there, Adrian Michael Soto. And thank you all for watching. Keep an eye out on future things to come. As I've said in the previous episode number 6, don't worry, there will be more different variety of movies to be reviewed. There's a lot of movies coming out. Like I said, movies that I have not seen. So pretty much be patient with me. I appreciate those who tell me that they like my take on films, and I'm going to do my best to watch them and see what I thought of them and give my take and everything. As I stated on episode 6, keep an eye out. I'm going to do the best to not really talk about it, but still talk about it. It's kind of seem vague. Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. It is a film that is just awesome. It has been up for award season. The way it is done artistically, and it's an homage to so many other films. So keep an eye on that on AMS Movie Reviews. So let's go into our next discussion today. And as you probably saw, episode 6 gave you a preview of the month of movie March. And one of the films that is coming out this weekend is Creed. And you could call it before talking about Creed, let's talk about movie reboots, remakes. And as the way I present this, I'm going to change the formatting. It may seem like if I'm doing a college presentation. Like I said, I'm experimenting with things little by little. But to those who are unfamiliar with the terms movie reboots, remakes, basically a movie reboot is to start from scratch, but continuing the canon and the null, which is the Creed franchise. Sorry. And I'll discuss about it in just a second. And movie remakes, basically remaking the entire film from beginning to end, not changing anything. And to some, and I'll ask you this, you comment in the comment on this video, or let me know if I run into you. Do you prefer original ideas? I don't know if you could see the image there. Original ideas, IPAs, or would you prefer remakes that sometimes can be terrible and not that great at all? Hollywood tends to defer both sides, depending on the way you see it. And this, I'll read this little one. It's film studios on the right, on the second image, and me on the left, or the general audience, is movies that don't need the reboots. Put that thing back where it came from, or so help me, or so help me. So you all get your take on what you think. Should those should movie reboots and remakes just stop happening? But to movie studios, going back to the image of, if you haven't seen it, the character from Futurama, and I'm sorry to any Futurama fans out there, the one that has the "shut up and take my money" meme. That's a good majority of us. I'm probably one of those, as you'll see in a second here, that just basically talks about films that work. And one film that definitely works is the Creed franchise. It is a part of the Rocky series where you have Michael B. Jordan. I'll give you a little bit of synopsis of the first two films and describing part three, but this is a reboot that works. It's a continuation in the lore of the Rocky franchise where we are introduced to Adonis Creed, who is the son of Apollo Creed, who was an impromptu character in the Rocky franchise. And he comes along in the first movie on my left, where he meets with Rocky Balboa and letting him know that Apollo Creed had a son. So he's trying to just basically not deal or not go within his father's footsteps. Really continuing the themes of Rocky per se, just done in a different manner and a different styling. And you have Sylvester Stallone in this. Then you go on to Creed 2, where Rocky's past comes back, and it is the son of Ivan Drago who wants to take the loss that his father had when Rocky faced him many years ago. And it's also more of a revenge type tale, and this will be a spoiler for anybody who hasn't seen it. But Ivan Drago murdered or killed Apollo Creed in the Rocky films, and it's more of a redemption and revenge type story. Really good movie. Both of these first two movies are emotional. They grip you. And for me, as I've talked in a previous episode of sports, you may not have done boxing. I'm not a professional boxer. I just started working out on boxing a little bit and just for that good exercise. But those movies have gripped you. And on the far end of the right of the screen, you'll end up seeing Creed 3, which is Michael B. Jordan's directorial debut, starring Tessa Thompson and Jonathan Majors, who for some may not be well known. He is a up and coming actor that has done several projects, and expect to see him in a lot of future type films and this as well. This looks like to be the same thing of the previous two Creed films, where it's going to probably leave you on the edge of your seat and it's going to be gripping. You're going to feel for these characters, and it's going to be that emotional type of like learning from your experience, running, just dealing with your past per se. I haven't seen it yet. I hope to see it this weekend or hopefully soon. And like I said in the beginning of the video of this episode podcast, just check out AMS movie reviews and you'll probably see it there. But overall, this is one of these series slash reboots that works because it's in this world of the Rocky franchise, and they haven't really changed anything or done anything wrong. They've set themselves in a right direction, and I'd say this is a successful reboot series. And in a little bit, I'm going to just comment on some that haven't worked and have worked and on the listing, but this is just a little bit of my opinion on a reboot that definitely works. So, as we go to the next one, I'm going to remove myself here and I'm going to give you a list of reboots and remakes. And one to start off with is Ocean's 11, which starred George Clooney, Brad Pitt. You know the rest. The original was with, I believe, the um, the original was I was with believe the Rat Pack, and to some who may not know, believe that was Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin. That one was a very successful. Dawn of the Dead, directed by Zack Snyder. Casino Royale, which was the intro to Daniel Craig's introduction as James Bond. Dread, starring Carl Urban. A Star is Born. At first, when I saw A Star is Born, it was just basically like, looks interesting. And to not realize that it is a remake of several other films. And if you don't believe me, just look up A Star is Born. Not to say nothing against Bradley Cooper. That was his directorial debut, I believe. And it also starred Lady Gaga, who is not just a really is a really good singer. She was acting really well. It was a really done movie. I would have to go back and see the other previous versions of that. Then you go into The Mummy. You get the classic monster movie version. And then there might have been something previous. Then you get the one with Brendan Fraser. And then you get the remake with Tom Cruise. And some who might not know, that became a dud in the box office. And this is not my opinion, but is what ended up happening. They wanted to create a monsters universe, and it ended up dealing with not being successful. And that's with that. And Heat, I believe I've got the list off of the internet. Scarface. Then you start going into ones that become a remake. Um, a remake, and the Spider-Man. And the Spider-Man has been rebooted. Sorry, the Spider-Man has been rebooted at least 3 times with 3 different actors, or remade with 3 different actors, but the story has been different. The first one was with Tobey Maguire, who did 3 films. The second was with Andrew Garfield, who did 2 films. And the third was with Tom Holland, who is now part of the Marvel Studios Marvel Cinematic Universe. And he's done 3 films, starred in other Marvel type movies. I believe they're already, as the time of this recording, they haven't announced or they were going to confirm that he's going to be doing a 4th Spider-Man movie, which is owned by Sony / Marvel. Then you have the Halloween franchise, The Jungle Book, which is one that Disney was in the remake stage of doing their classic ones like Aladdin, Beauty and the Beast, Dumbo. Now they're working on The Little Mermaid, Peter Pan, Pinocchio. So Disney has the money. The Mouse House is just earning what they're gonna do. Then you have the Planet of the Apes. This is one of those franchises I would rank up there that has just worked because you have an actor like Andy Serkis. And to those who don't know who Andy Serkis is, he was Gollum, aka Smeagol, and also King Kong, Peter Jackson's King Kong, which has also been another remake. He did the motion capture for Caesar, the main ape, and just the way he puts his 110% effort into doing this sort of thing is just so fascinating, and it's just unbelievable. And that's already been 3 films in as of right now, the last I saw on the interwebs, that they're going to be finishing, or they just finished filming the fourth one. No spoilers. Really good film series. Highly recommend watching it. Just the technology and just the way they make these apes real with emotion and just having them talk. Fantastic series. And then we go into Creed, The Amazing Spider-Man, and Batman, which was reboot slash remake, whatever you want to call it, directed by Christopher Nolan. Batman has been done so many times, and it's just your take on it. You could say that you have the Batman with Michael Keaton, then you have with Val Kilmer, George Clooney, then Christian Bale, then again with Ben Affleck, and as of about a few weeks back, Warner Brothers slash DC Comics, I need to look at the exact name, are going to be updating him again, doing another reboot of Batman. And each of them has been their own iteration. But to go in specific of the Christopher Nolan Batmans, this one was more grounded and nothing of, maybe some stuff doesn't make sense because it's still a comic book movie, but Christopher Nolan portrayed it as a he just portrayed it as if Batman could live out in our world, and he didn't really have any mythical character. And then, oh, sorry, I just realized I forgot about Robert Pattinson. So yeah, I would say um those are just a little bit of reboots and remakes. So as you see here, I'm counting 8 studio logos altogether. And as I've talked about in previous episodes, like sequels, comic book movies, sports movies, everybody's gonna have this next like kind of discussion slash topic might be going into, what is it that you all like? Do you like movie studios doing these reboots and remakes? Some of them have worked, some of them haven't. I forgot to mention the Fantastic Four. It was rebooted twice already with different actors. The second time around, it didn't work, but now Marvel Studios will be doing it for the third time and introducing the characters again, and let's see how that goes. But the movie studios are going to end up making the money, and if they see something, they're going to do it. So, like I said, and I've discussed this in a previous episode, the image right here of the "shut up and take my money." All these movie studios, the Hollywood head honchos, they're either going to click the button on the left, they'll click the button on the right. So I would just say, I'm speaking for myself. You all comment on what you think you prefer. As long as the story just makes sense. That's how I see like this sort of stuff. Kind of like the Creed franchise. The story just works. And yes, it might get a little bit of the tropes and pay montage to previous Rocky films, but it's still in that world. And it looks like, I haven't seen the movie, and if you've seen the trailer, it doesn't look like Sylvester Stallone is in this third movie, but it's basically just trying to let you know or show you how Adonis Creed is going his own way. We need to move on. If you probably heard that, um, it's windy where I live, and this microphone here is can pick up the sound pretty clearly. Excuse me. I can pick up the sound pretty clearly, but going back before I get distracted here, Um, it's just one of those that if you use the character of a remake slash rebooting it, you're changing things up, but still kind of paying montage to it per se on how you perceive it. And it's not to say it pretty much when a movie is done, and I've probably mentioned this, it has to go studios look at a script, and then they find the director, and it's either as you see there on the image here, either an original idea, reboot, rehash, remake. This is not a knock on the Mouse House. I'm going to nickname it the Mouse House, but I would say some of their remakes of the classic Disney films have both been hit or misses. And other film series have also been hit or misses as well. And for me, I'm trying to be open-minded now and saying that either you like a movie or you dislike a movie, and it's pretty much one of those that you how can I put this? You you leave an open mind for interpretation. And if you're hearing this for the first time or if you've heard it before, you're all gonna like what you like. I'm not trying to stray away anybody from liking what they like. I want to leave this as an open-minded thing. I'm giving my thoughts here. You can comment on this video, critique me. I'm going to listen to what you have to say, and you might persuade me to a certain way. I might persuade you in a certain way. And it's going to just be one of those that as long as movies franchises continue to make money, it's going to be that they're going to continue to just roll the dice, give it a shot on these reboots slash remakes, because then you have science fiction, original idea, original idea of an action movie, family drama, a story based on just almost anything. The list is endless, and overall, it's one of those that it's just really up for the audience to decide. It's up for you guys to decide. I've seen a good majority of the list of those movies I gave you. If I might have missed something on different ones, I'll go back now that I'm realizing it. King Kong. King Kong has been remade several times. I referenced King Kong done by Peter Jackson. It was done recently again, and also with Godzilla. They made a King Kong versus Godzilla, and that was even done with Japanese films, and where it was just a guy in a suit and they were fighting, and just the technology has changed. And the most recent one, I believe, which was done in 2017 of the King Kong, this might not too going into too spoiler territory, but the King Kong in the last one, you have people going to Skull Island and staying there, not taking them to New York, then going on top of the Empire State Building, falling down, dying, and some guy saying it was beauty that killed the beast. And that's pretty much what's been done in previous ones. It was done in the Peter Jackson one. And overall, that's a remake. To those who may remember this, I believe it was Godzilla, where done in the late 90s, early 2000s, um, where it was Godzilla coming to New York. And spoiler alert for a almost 30 plus year old movie or 20 plus year old movie, they made Godzilla into a female and you had kids. The animation looked different. It's one of those you could call a guilty movie pleasure. Sorry, a guilty movie pleasure. And it was then redone again in 2017 with Gareth Edwards, I believe. As I look it up, I'm looking Godzilla, and yeah, it's already done. 2014, sorry. It was done in 2014, then the sequel 2019, then the third, where it was basically just teasing and kind of a reboot to like the Godzilla monster itself. And I won't go into detail, but the first Godzilla is giving you more of the humans, less of Godzilla, kind of like how Jaws was. And it was paying homage to obviously all the old Godzilla Japanese films. And then just basically, then you get more monster type creatures in the next Godzilla. Then in the third one, he goes up against Kong. So it's gonna just be those that Hollywood is gonna has a list of stuff, and then they're gonna decide, and they're gonna just. It's not that they're trying to make bad movies. It, how do I say this? You don't want. I don't wish anyone anyone that does any of these kind of movies from scratch, whether it be an original idea or a reboot slash remake, you're you've entertained all of us here. To anyone to watch this stuff, you know how I feel about movies. We go for the entertainment, and we want to see how whether a reboot or a remake is done. And I brought up a remake of A Star is Born that has been done several times. Maybe during the times the story changed back in the earlier years of the previous adaptations. But in this one, it was done really well, and it might be shot for shot of the way it's done, but it was just really entertaining and enjoyable. Excuse me. Then you have other films like um just that do the Mouse House doing the classic Disney films, and whether you could even say the remakes are for another generation, kind of like the Star Wars franchise itself. You have the original, the prequels, then the new sequel trilogy, and I grew up. I knew of the original films, the ones that came out in the New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi. I knew those exist, and if it wasn't for those, um, I wouldn't love Star Wars. Star Wars is a part of my life. It's a franchise that defies my fandom per se, and I I I've said this to a family member. I commend them. If it wasn't for them, I wouldn't love Star Wars. Like I said, then the prequel trilogy. I was a little bit older, but I thought all three of those movies are cool at the time. Now they've been downgraded, and then once these last three films came out, it was for this generations of the 2010s, and now those are being perceived in different ways, and pretty much it's going to be one of those that it's a generational thing, and we're still going to love the previous adaptations of other movies before the remakes and reboots that didn't deserve it. So it's really a toss up. To me, like I said, I don't mind it. if a story's there, and even if it's with actors I'm familiar with and actors that I'm not familiar with, it gives me that open eye of, man, so and so was great in that reboot of that action movie or that remake of that action movie, comedy, horror, etc. So overall, um I'm going to be kind of split. It just depends. Like I said, as I said on previous episodes here, it depends on what you like. You want to stick with the original stuff? Do it. Go ahead. I am too. I'm gonna love all the wide range variety of the original ideas and everything. And it's gonna just be one of those that is just a part of the movie going experience. So, like I said, you're gonna see me. I'm gonna give each movie a shot in different ways. I might not see it at first right away, or I might see it down the road later on. And I'm gonna have the same opinion as you or completely different. So yeah, movie reboots, remakes. What do you all think? Message me on the socials. Comment on this video here. Comment on what your take on movie reboots and remakes are, and you let me know. Is it worth watching them? Should they stop? Um, and yeah, man, as time flies by, this is episode number 7. 7. Done 7 of these things, and this is the second time you see this face right here. You can't see it, but I've grown out this beard. It's already been, I'd say, almost a year, but that's besides the point. But thank you all again for watching this episode of the AMS podcast. Like I said, keep an eye on future projects. I'm going to do my best to um try and stay afoot with this kind of. I was a little bit busy with actual job. um I keep an eye out on a friend's chat that's gonna still be a part of this episode, but I'm gonna be meeting with friends of mine, and I'm gonna have them talk about a movie topic that they want to talk about, and something that I might not be familiar with, or they want to ask me something that I'm familiar with. So who knows? But other than that, that's it. Like, subscribe if you haven't. To all my new subscribers, thank you so much. I will do my best, as I said, to provide you with this. This isn't the best content I can do. I'm going to be adding some new tools to this. You'll see later on. Like this right here is a recently brand new tool. And thank you all again for watching. This has been the AMS podcast discussing all things films, past, present, and future. And that's it for now, guys. That's all she wrote. I'll see you when I see you. Bye bye for now.